Hi, everybody. Hi, friends. We're so glad you're back with us. Hopefully, that you've heard these past interviews with our good friends that we feel like we've known you guys for a while. Elizabeth and Israel. Hannah, you all have real biblical names.
Thank you.
I was going to say we need to change our name, but I'm Paul David, so that's pretty biblical.
No, no,
That's
no.
not bad.
We're taking Mary and Joseph.
Yeah.
We're taking.
Yeah, we gotta speak for sure.
Israel, we've heard your testimony in our last segment, and it's fantastic. It's life changing. Tell us how folks can get on to watch that whole.
It's the link for it is www.journeystory.com. Or you can, I guess, type in journeystory.com, Israel Hanna, from tragedy to hope. But they tell me there's a lot of journey stories out there, but mine's coming up more and more often right now. So when you www.journeystory.com, it's only 20 minutes long, but I guarantee it'll be a blessing to you.
Yeah.
And
I hope it was a blessing to you.
Oh my
Huge.
gosh, yes.
Thank you. Yes.
One more thought. You said that you've been all over the world sharing your story. Are you doing that now?
Yes, but we travel only, we've made our focus Israel, and that's why I've been to Israel 25 times. I go over there to pray for the soldiers, actually, the IDF and the people that that are in that type of military complexes and things like that. Wherever I go, I pray for the soldiers and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
We have great friends that are IDF soldiers, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
And,
love the Lord. They love Yeshua.
yes. I have yet to be refused. I walk up to and ask them if they want to pray, and nobody's ever said no.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, we have an army boy, by the way. He served in Iraq for a while and
Okay.
really.
just moved to
Wow.
Orlando with his family, so we're thrilled.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for his service.
Speaking of family,
Yes.
you guys have quite the family.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth,
Tell.
tell us.
How'd you guys fall in love? And you tell us all about those kiddos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be interested in this.
All right. Okay. It's always two different versions, but it's
Right.
the same place. We met on a missions trip in Australia, actually. It was a church plant kind of trip, and neither of us were looking for anybody. We both had past, that God was healing us from at that time. And, he shared part of his story and some of the tragedy he'd been through. I'd been through an abusive first marriage and some other stuff. And we were just walking with the Lord, each of us, and we were put on the same team. In Minnesota, we lived 3 hours apart from each other, so we hadn't really met in Minnesota. We met in Australia, which was kind of ironic, but we ended up on the same team. And during one of the nights there, it was kind of weird because we'd end up praying for the same people, and not on purpose. It just was the way we were led to walk. And so at one point, then we were in a large group, and I was very jaded at that time, to be honest. When you've been burned, sometimes you're not so much a believer in love. Like maybe, at that time, I remember I would, I could receive God's love to some degree, but not from a person. And so you talk about like sleepless in Seattle kind of stuff. No, like no holding hands, no, all that stuff.
Right.
So anyway, we're there, and we had a meeting one night, and we're all holding hands in this group, our team of, people on the missions team. And I'm holding hands with these, one person on either side of me. And I felt this like jolt on my left hand. And I'm like, what is going on? And I turned and I looked, and he was standing next to me. But the feeling was, this is powerful. I don't want to let go. And I thought, okay, weird. Like, okay, come on, focus. I'm praying, like it was one of those. And
Love it.
so, and he had a similar feeling, which, I'll let him tell if he wants to or whatever. But anyway, like we said, we weren't looking. And so we both really were like taken back.
Literally.
And really taken back. We, like, what is going on here, Lord? And so we both really separately sought the Lord when we got back stateside, and, prayed, and we did talk some, and, we would get together sometimes in group settings, and sometimes, just the two of us. But over a course of 2 years, we really sought the heart of God, because we were like, something's going on here. And there's a connection that we can't deny that really seems spirit breathed. And so anyway, we prayed and we fasted and we did different things. And at the end of 2 years, we really felt like the Lord was saying, this is something that I have for you guys. And so I'll turn that over to you, because you get like to tell this part.
So, there's a difference of 28 years between Elizabeth and I. I was 56 at the time and she was 28.
28. Mhm.
And so to think about that as being a godly, arrangement is like, no, neither one of us were looking for that kind of a spread in an age, looking period.
Right.
I was done. I was,
Yeah.
and so was she.
Yeah.
So I said, after 2 years, we've got to do something, and we got to decide what we're going to do, because if we go much further, we're going to end up sinning, and we don't want to do that. So here's what I said. It's unbelievable, but it's true. I said, we both believe in hearing the voice of the Lord. Let's fast. Let's each of us fast for 7 days, the next 7 days. And when you come back from Minneapolis, or I go there when we visit, let's believe this, that God will give us the exact same day to get married on, and the exact same place to get married on, without us discussing it.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a place. That's
That's a major place, right?
That's another video.
That was a big one.
To which she says, yeah, that's a great
Okay,
idea. To
yeah.
which I go, why did I say that?
Like, wait, you really want to do this? Yeah.
Do I really want to do that? Am I crazy? And so when she comes back, and I said, I believe that we're supposed to no. How did that work?
Well, we were just comparing notes, and so I'll just share how it came to me. So like I said, I was in Minneapolis at the time, and I remember driving. I'm a very visual person. God's given me a seer gift. So a lot of times the way he'll speak to me is through pictures. And so I'm driving somewhere, and in the middle of this fast, and I just remember I saw like a marquee in front of my, like the signs you see up there. Literally, I saw like a marquee before my eyes as I'm driving. I mean, not out in the natural, but in the spirit. And it said April 17th, Thursday, April 17th, Israel. That was how it came to me.
So
I share that with him.
So she tells me Thursday, April 17th.
But I was wrestling, excuse me to interrupt. I was wrestling because I'm like, nobody gets married on a Thursday. Like Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday.
So which I replied to her, I said, Elizabeth, nobody gets married during the week. I just focus on the 52 weekends. That's going to be hard enough. And then I turned over my paper, and I had written on my paper Thursday, April 17th.
Oh my goodness.
Joking with her, literally. I had written that same date down, but and she was like that's almost impossible. But I said, we're only halfway there, because I wrote down a place that I know that
I hadn't been to Israel yet.
You've never been to Israel.
That.
You don't want to go. You can't bring your family there. We can't afford to go to Israel. 1,000 different reasons to object. But I wrote down a place, April 17th, in the place called Jerusalem, Israel. And she says, well, she had known about the Intifada, the blowing up of the buses, and the terrorist attacks at one of its heights back then. And she said, I don't want to get married in a flak jacket and steel pot. Why? I can't have my family over there. And she turned over her.
I had to mess back with him,
And she had written down Israel, Jerusalem, Israel. Now, what's interesting.
I just to say real quick, I feel very unspiritual. Because Dave made me laugh, and he was really good looking. That was kind of like,
hey, that goes a long way.
That goes a long way.
I was going to say,
on the top of my list. So
I was going to say, what if she put Tiberias instead of Jerusalem? Would you have said nope?
I know. Then what do you do? I know. Meet halfway or what?
So
sorry, it's back to you guys.
It's
back to
so
you.
cool.
So as it works out, get this. This is the frosting on the cake. April 17th of 2003 was the first day of Passover.
And that's why Thursday mattered.
So as the biggest full moon I've ever seen coming up over the land of Israel, we're standing on the Mountain of Olives over that direction, looking down on the city, exchanging our wedding vows. And the Passover meal was our wedding banquet.
We had enchiladas.
Right on. That's
you guys
that's very holy. No. I always tell people.
We need to renew.
I always tell people I think God went to such great lengths to give us the confirmation, because our situation was so unique.
Yeah.
I mean, all the factors. We really needed to know that we had heard from the Lord because of the uniqueness.
We are certainly not recommending that everybody do this by any means, but the truth of the matter is, marriage is a very serious covenant to make.
Yeah.
And we all need to realize, look at our motives for making it, and ask God if he's in it. Because when God's in it, it'll work out.
Yeah.
But when he's not, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
And
We're 32 years, so I think the good looks and enchiladas worked.
It did, obviously.
Hey, tell us about your children.
Okay, well, we were neither of us had a plan to have children. I had a plan for my life. I had career goals. I had different things. When I was in my early 20s, the Lord started to change my heart and give me a vision and speak to me about the importance of a generation He would raise up that was really going to be a unique generation of those that would seek after Him and that would be set apart to Him. I know every generation is, but He started revealing this about the generation to come after mine, after ours. And so He began to put a vision in my heart for that. And so when I'd gotten married the first time, that was a mistake and a disaster. And as I was healing from that, and after we had met, we did, of course, we're going to bring up that subject as we're praying through all these things. And he had already had children with his first wife and his first marriage, and obviously suffered the great loss of his daughter. And so as I was praying about, Lord, how do these things fit together, right? Like, you've given me this vision. He's in a different place, but I feel like you're joining us together. How does this fit? I mean, and I just would ask the Lord questions because I'm a question girl. So I just I know I can talk to you about anything. And he told me the story about the Queen of Sheba going to Solomon, and he answered all her hard questions. And I felt like he was saying, that's what I want to do for my people. Don't be afraid to bring me your hard questions. I can answer your hard questions. So I brought them to him, and I asked him over and over all these things. And I said, what about children for this guy? And for me, like, is that still a part of my future, or were you just trying to show me a vision for the generation to pray? So as I would ask him questions, and I also asked the Lord, what would it be like to be married to this guy? And because I'd been burned, and I was trying to protect my heart, to be honest. And so the Lord was just so sweet and so honest. He tells us the truth, and I love that about him. He doesn't mince words or sugarcoat it. So he said two things to me. This man has lived Job's life. He's suffered greatly, and I want to give him the second half of Job's life. Are you willing to be a part of that? And so I had to really think about that, honestly. But I knew that the second chapter of Job's life included the restoration of children. So then as we talked, and he had said, well, I'm kind of done having kids. And I thought, well, okay, back to the prayer board, maybe I missed it, whatever, which is good to double check, I think, and when something I believe is God's vision, he brings the two people into unity, and so we just kept praying. We just kept praying until we had the same answer that we believed was what God was saying to us. So here we are, I don't know how many years, almost 20 years later, with 8 children.
Wow.
5 boys and 3 girls. And
did you adopt any? I'm adopted.
No.
You had a
Wow.
You go, girl.
Yeah. and 2
go, Israel.
Yeah.
So my reply to that was, I told her, I made the mistake of saying this, David. I can assure you of one thing, Elizabeth, I am not going to have any more kids. I've already done that. I don't have it anymore. Now, the Lord just loves to hear me make statements like that.
But when I said I'm not having any,
So
Yeah.
he said, I prayed about it, and he said, not only will I give you children, but I will give you their names, and they shall be an indication of what I'm doing in the body of Christ at their time of their birth and as their lives unfold. The names of our children, and we have 12 children. I had 2 from my first marriage. We lost the one, and I got divorced as a result of that car accident and a loss. And then we've had Elizabeth has 8, and when she had 2 miscarriages. One of those miscarriages actually was in Israel.
Interesting.
And anyway, that's another story in itself. Yeah. But we have fathered, since I changed my name at 56 to Israel, 12 children. Now, if you would have told me that then I'm 75 years old now, but that's God working his plan out, saying you will walk as a type and shadow of Israel, the patriarch in the land of Israel.
And we didn't do it on purpose. We, and not to be like too much information, but we had just surrendered that area to the Lord. And so we didn't use birth control or anything like that. And when I remember the night before our 8th was born, I was talking to the Lord and just like, okay, let's do this, and I remember the Lord kind of stopped me and said, thank you for being willing to surrender to my plan. And I just knew in my heart that night we were done. And we didn't change anything after that. And we haven't had any more children. And so it's like, I think there's a power in surrendering to the Lord, and He gives us the grace to do that. We can't do that by ourselves. At least I know I can't. But when we do, it's amazing. The fruit, as you guys know, the fruit of surrendering and being willing to go a different direction. Yeah, go a different mile or an extra mile or a different direction and take a different road. So
Okay, here's the big question. Do you remember all their names?
on a good day.
Only when they have
all that right now.
only when they have their name tags on.
Hey, and Israel, I need to see your driver's license because I don't believe you're 75. Get it out right now.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I have one thought. We have to end this in a minute.
Yeah.
First of all, tell our folks one more time how they can view your testimony
And get in touch with you both.
and get in touch with you.
All right. The link for us is for my DVD is www.journeystory.com. It's only 20 minutes long. It can be seen. You can pull it up on your phone, your computer. Just type in that link and it should come up. We don't charge for any of our ministry. And you could contact us on Facebook. How would you say? What's her thing?
Just under Israel Hanna or Elizabeth Hanna. We
use Facebook quite a bit.
Okay, good. And I've had this thought going as we've been chatting together. For those of you who are watching who haven't been to Israel, on our bus, the folks that are on our bus are just like these guys that you're hearing today. They have testimonies. They're fun. They love Yeshua. And maybe you guys will end up on a tour with us someday. I don't know, but it's changing. And we all have a love for Israel. You too, Israel, but Israel, country.
The country and you.
Yes. So pray about going with us on a tour.
We would love to join you on a mission trip like that on the bus or together, however the Lord would work it out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for us, we're low income, despite the fact and success of my DVD. We struggle with finances because we don't charge for anything. We don't, with the 12 children, it's hard. We got a lot of expenses, but we live on a very limited income. And so it's a struggle for us.
Yeah.
But, God has been good and He meets all of our needs.
He has His ways of working.
He has His ways of working things out.
Yes.
Totally.
So perhaps we'll be together on that bus one of these days.
You know what? That'd be great, but it's been so great getting to chat with you both, and what an incredible story you both have. And I believe there's lots more to your story that God has for you. Thank you so much for your time and
taking time out of your busy day with all those kiddos to share with all of us. Thank you.
It's been a joy for us. I really appreciate it.
Blessings to you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Great.
Bye.